Alright everybody, welcome back. So I'm going to go into my neutral card review. So as a kind of a reference here. So when I give out the scores, I'm going to give out the card score, I'll give out the number, and I'll give out the stars here. The number rating is based upon the Hearth Arena rating system. They have a solid number foundation. So usually when I review the cards, I'm going to be comparing them. There's going to be a card that will be kind of like a direct comparison. It's a lot easier just to do that, to kind of like center yourselves. Anyways, going over the ratings and what they mean. If it's a 7-star card or something that's 120 or plus, this is a card that too powerful. It should be banned from Arena. It's just because it just makes you feel horrible. 6-star card. This is a card really it's too powerful for Arena, but it's like it's not bad enough that you really need it banned. 5 stars. This is a class-defining card. This is a card you think of when you think of the class. 4 stars, these are really powerful cards. These are cards that can swing the game, win the game for you. 3 stars, these are above average cost for what you get for the mana. These are the good cards, what probably most of your deck will be. 2-star cards, these are average cards. These are cards you have to take just to fill in the deck to make sure it's fine. A 1-star card, these are generally bad cards, but they have situational upsides, or maybe in the right decks or in the right situation they can be really powerful. And finally, 0-star cards, these are just never picked. Don't even try to go for the synergy on these. Alright, so I have this sorted by, I'm gonna go from my most powerful to my least powerful on this. So I have it sorted here so it's easier for me to find the card. Alright, so card number 1, a common. Silvermoon Sentinel, 3 mana 2/5 taunt, which is good stats by itself. Mana Thirst at 8, gain +2/+2, and Divine Shield. So if you remember, for 6 mana, you get a what's the card? You get Sunwalker, which is a 4/5 Divine Shield. And for 8 and at 8 mana, you get a 3 mana Sunwalker, with 2 extra health. So this is a really, really good card. Like, it's like, I'm not gonna say, like, it's really good. I have it as an 82, which is a 4-star card. So we're starting her off here. So why is it not higher? I mean, it's a 3 mana 4/7 Divine Shield. So number 1, you have to get to turn 8, and that takes a while. Number 2, like, you play it, it's still just a taunt that you can get through pretty easily. So that's basically it. Like, if you're going to have this card, your opponent's probably going to have like a card of relatively similar power level. So it's kind of like you spike the power level, but their power level spikes too. So it's, how would I say this? It's powerful if you have it, but they'll probably have something that will counter it. Like, they'll have a hard removal for it, and then it's just like, it's good. So I'm not saying like this is a broken card or anything. I think this is good. I just don't think that it is great. Okay, next card I have on my list is, I touched on this a little bit before, Boneflinger. There's Boneflinger right here. Boneflinger, Battle Cry. If a friendly undead died after your last turn, deal 2 damage. So, I'll just say this. In not Demon Hunter. In Death Knight. Death Knight. The easiest comparison would be something like a Fire Plume Phoenix. A Fire Plume Phoenix was a 4 mana 3/3 that dealt 2 damage. Or it would be something, or like a Troll Bat Rider, which was a 4 mana 3/3 that dealt 3 random damage. So in Death Knight, on turn 4, you can take your hero power, you can throw it into something that will trigger this. And so you got a 4 mana 2/4 that deals 3 damage, split between a 1 and a 2 that you can control. That is great. Okay. So I compare that, as I said, I compare that to a Troll Bat Rider, and I think that's better than a Troll Bat Rider, which was rated previously as a 70. Whoopsie, wrong part. I copied too much. So Troll Bat Rider was about a 78. So I went an 80 on this, which honestly I probably could have gone a little bit higher. But for Death Knights, it's going to be a 4-star card. For other classes, I'm going to say it's a 3-star card. So again, the effect is really, really powerful. So if you can trigger it, the effect is really powerful. I'm not sure how much you are going to trigger it, but this is one of those cards where it's more than worth it to hold it in your hand so you can have an undead that you can trade off to play this. So, all right. Like, by the way, here, I honestly imagine that I could be overrating this and they'll probably perform at like a 2-star level, but I'm going to be a little bit optimistic with how powerful the effect is. All right. Next card here, Vikrull Necrolyte. Battle Cry. Give a friendly minion Death Rattle. Summon a 2/2 zombie with Rush. So number one, the key thing is you need a minion on the board. And that's kind of like what holds it back. To me, I compare it to Dark Iron Dwarf because this does basically the same thing as a Dark Iron Dwarf. A Dark Iron Dwarf is a 4/4 that you need a body on the board to trigger, and then you can trade up. So you can deal 2 extra damage. On occasion, you can use it to like make an advantageous trade. So like if you trade a 4/5 that's buffed into a 6/5 to another 4/5, you have a 4/1 left. Compared to like if you use this, you can't trade it off, so and then it would be less useful. But if you put Dark Iron Dwarf on like a 3/3, so you buff the 3/3 to a 5/3, trade off the 4/5. Same thing here. You get the 2/2 rush. Or if you're naturally going to trade, you just play this and you get the extra 2/2 rush, which is obviously the condition where it's better. So where do I have this? I have this as a 4-star card. As I said, I compare it to a Dark Iron Dwarf. Dark Iron Dwarf's about a 71. So I think there's going to be enough situations with small things where you can trade off the small things on this that will make it better than a DID. But overall, I think just a good card. Okay. Next card I have on my list is going to be Infected Peasant. 2 mana 2/1, Death Rattle, summon a 2/2 Undead Peasant. Alright, so the card I compared this to immediately was going to be Haunted Creeper. So, the 2/1 body is better than the 1/2 body. It has the same effect. The 2/2 body is around the same as the split 1/1 bodies. So, and your opponent, they're going to be incentivized to ping this, which will give them which will put a stronger card on the board. So, as I said, like overall, it's a slightly better Haunted Creeper. Haunted Creeper we have here as a 71. So overall, I'd rate it 4 stars. I would say that. One second, let me get to the right thing here. Yeah, it's get it right here. So right in the 4-star range, like the upper like the very lower tier of 4-star, but still a really good card to take. All right, next one here will be Nerubian Visor. Three mana 2/4 Battle Cry, discover a spell. If a friendly undied after your last turn, it costs 2 less. So you compare this to a Volpera Scoundrel. It's a 3 mana 2/4 discover spell compared to a 3 mana 2/3 discover spell. You're paying the cost for the spell, not for the stats. Now, the undead factor here, I'm not factoring in it that much because you're not going to hold this card for when an undead happens so you can get the mana cost. That's not going to happen. So you're just paying for a 2/4 body that discovers a spell. Volpera Scoundrel, that was like a low 70s card. So this is yet another like borderline low 4-star card here. Like, would you take it over Peasant? It's like one of those where it's like very, very similar. They're very, very close. Sometimes you take one, sometimes you take the other. Personal preference. All right, next one here. Silver Moon Armorer. Four mana 4/4 Rush, Mana Thirst, gain +2/+2. So 4 mana 4/4 Rush, that's basically about the level of a Yeti. 4 mana 6/6 Rush. At turn 7, like that sounds really good, but at turn 7 you're going to have a lot of big stuff on the board, and that 6/6 Rush may not actually be really that great. So that's kind of like why it's a high 3-star card. Like, there isn't that much that needs to be said. At the time when you get the 6/6 Rush, it just kind of like, it falls. It's good, trust me, it's good, but it's not great. So I have it as a 3-star card. Next card, Street Sweeper. 4 mana 2/2 Battle Cry, deal 2 damage to all other enemy minions. What is the value of adding a 1 mana 2/2 onto a volcanic potion? Not much. So, like, I'd say it's roughly about the same as a volcanic potion. So I have it as a 3-star card. Not much needs to be said. Next card, Blood Knight. Bloodied Knight. Sorry, Bloodied Knight. So Bloody Knight, 3 mana 4/5. At the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to your hero. So I remember way back in the day, I would take this card, Ornery Tortoise. Tortoise. Ornery. Orn. Okay, I can't find. All right. Anyways, the card I would take, it was a Rostakon's Rumble card. It was a 3 mana 3/5 neutral card that dealt 5 damage to your face if you took it. So that card, which I swore its name is Ornery Tortoise. Yes, it's right here. Yeah, I got the name right. What the hell, Blizzard? Ornery. Ornery. Why are you? Because undead is on here. That's why. All right, sorry. Ornery Tortoise is the beast. It is not undead. That is the reason why I couldn't find it. Anyways. So, Ornery Tortoise, 3 mana 3/5 Battle Cry, deal 5 damage to your hero. That was I would say that was a good card. That card won me a lot more games, especially as a rogue. And a rogue doesn't really have healing. Rogue doesn't want to take the face damage. So that was a card that would win me games. So 3 mana 4/5. Realistically, you're going to want to trade it off. So you'll probably deal 4 damage to your face offhand. Maybe your opponent can do something like freeze it, or they can stall it out. But cards like this, these are good cards. So in cards that have healing, like if you have lifesteal, if you have armor gain, these cards, like the damage, it's chip damage, and it doesn't really matter. So for those classes, I have it as a 3-star card. For regular classes, I have it here as also a 3-star card, just a less powerful 3-star card. And then for Warlock takes enough self-damage that they really cannot afford this, and they're not Rogue, which needs the tempo to win, so they don't they can't take the chance on this. It's not worth it to them. So for Rogue, it's 2-star card. But basically, classes that have heals, you take this a lot higher than normal classes, and then you take it a lot lower as a Warlock. All right. Next card, Incorporeal Corporal. Where's this? Alright, so 2 mana 5/5. After this minion attacks, destroy it. So, best way to think about it is pretend that it's a giant wasp. So, giant wasp, how to play the wasp properly was that you keep the wasp stealth, and then you basically kind of zone out your opponent from being able to play anything. And it becomes a mind game where the opponent wants to put something big enough to bait your wasp, so that they cannot have the so that they want to bait out your wasp's trade, so they can play something bigger later on. So here with the corporal, it's the same thing. 5/5, you don't want to remove 5/5. Removing 5 health worth of something is not something you want to do. So what you do is you play this on turn 2, and you say to the opponent your move. And if they play a 3-drop, then you've just traded your 2-drop for the 3-drop, for the 3/4, for the 4/3. Or maybe they play something weak, and you just do nothing, and then they have to play a 4-drop, and the 4-drop is probably going to get eaten by this. Or maybe they have to play a 5-drop, and you can buff this, and then it can eat the 5-drop. So that's basically how it goes. It doesn't have the late game value of the wasp, but it has the mid game value of the wasp. So I think this is a solid 3-star card. Next one here, Sun and Fury Clergy. Restore 3 health to all friendly characters. Mana through 6, restore 6 health instead. So, Earthen Ring Farseer and the Fungal Enchanter, they're both crying in a corner somewhere at being power crept by this. So, the effect, let me just say this is a really good effect. This is one of those effects that you take for a card like the Bloody Knight. But, how often is this effect going to matter? That is the question. So that is the Amber Watcher problem. The Amber Watcher is a 5-mana 4/6 dragon that... So if you remember, if you forget, Amber Watcher, it's a Paladin card. 5-mana 4/6 dragon, Battle Cry, restore 8 health. This is a lot of stuff to put on a card, but the problem is that it's just overkill. Or overheal in this case. And that's the Sun Fury Clergy problem. Like, the restore health to everything sounds good, but in most cases it's not going to be that great. You had the 2-mana card in Saviors of Uldum, whose name I'm blanking on, that did the same thing. It healed adjacent minions to full. And most of the time it wasn't that much better than the Fungal Enchanter. So, overall, where do I have this card? I have it as a 3-star card. Like, really powerful effect, but the effect is really not... And it will win you some games, but it's really not that great of effect. Alright. Next card, Umbral Geist. 2-mana 3/1, Death Rattle, add a random shadow spell to your hand. So, 2-mana 3/1, add a random card to your hand. That's a Star Scryer Mage. We've had that card before. That card was a 3-star card. This is a little bit worse because it is a random shadow spell and spell from your hand. It's a 3-star card. Okay, next card, Drakariembalmer. The 3-mana 3/4, fair stats, Battle Cry, give a friendly undead reborn. Good effect. Problem is, number one, you need to have undead that are on the board and not dead for it. And so, number two, there are some undead that already have reborn on it, so it's kind of like a wasted effect. So, overall, it's just like a good card for the stats, 3-star card. See, forgot my 3 stars. Alright. Next one, Amber Whelp. Because we saw Amber Drake, now we have Amber Whelp. 3 mana, 3/3. If you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage. They power corrupt Scale Rider. Okay. So, Amber Whelp, they power corrupt Scale Rider, it's not even that good, but why? That's my question. Like, it's 3 stars, just because there aren't enough dragons to activate it. Like, dragons exist. If you have a dragon deck, you pick this higher. Like, the effect's powerful enough that you might actually pick this if you only have, like, 1 or 2 dragons. But overall, I can't really go higher than this. When Descent of Dragons comes back in, this is going to be, like, the most busted thing ever. Like, that's all I really need. I don't really want to talk about that. Alright. Next card. Brittle Skin Zombie. If it's your opponent's turn, deal 3 damage to them. So, we had cards like this back in KFT that'll be rotating back in, where if they die on your opponent's turn, then there's a benefit to it. So you had this. If it's your opponent's turn, deal 3 damage to them. Let me see here. Get rid of Amber. There was a Warlock card in KFT that was 3 mana. And not Warlock, Warrior. That's basically the opposite. Death Rattle. If it's your opponent's turn, gain 6 armor. The Mountain Fire armor here. So we know that this the effect here, it's useful, but it's not really that great. This is deal 3 damage to face, which again, you're going to have probably a decent amount of heals. So good. So like, it's a bonus effect, but that's really all it is. It's a moderate bonus effect. I can't give all that much to it. So Brittle Skin Zombie for me, that's kind of like a, it's just like a 3-star card. All right. Finally, out of the 3-star range, next one here will be Arms Dealer. After you summon an undead, give it 1 attack. So there are a lot of undead that come out of battle cries. Like there's the Grim Necromancer that has it plus the 2/1/1s. So you will find cards that this will work for. Overall, is this really that great? It's it's a decent combo tool. I think it might be a little bit better than Abusive Sergeant just being a 1/2. But overall, I can't really go that high on it. Like in the right deck, it'll be great. I think honestly, it'll probably be a 2-star on average. You'll probably have enough small things that you can summon off of this. All right, next one here, Foul Egg. Foul Egg is an egg that summons a foul. I did not look at the what was summoned there, but anyway, yeah, the Foul Egg summoning the foul. It's an egg. We know what eggs are, so that's like the very low end of 2-star cards. So the one benefit is that it is an undead, and there are things where like you can buff the undead stuff. So you put this on the board, your opponent doesn't trade it, and you leave it around so you can buff it as an undead. Or you leave it around so that when your opponent has a deal damage to a random thing, it pops this. So weak, 2 stars. Okay, next one here, the 1-star cards. Silvermoon Arcanist. All right. 3 mana, spell damage 2, battle cry. Your spells cannot target heroes this turn. We know spell damage. Spell damage is weak, so I think overall Silvermoon Arcanist is weak. I'm going 1 star on it. Okay, not much needs to be said. Like, spell damage plus 2 versus, like, you're just not going to use spell damage. That's always been there. All right, next card, Shatterskin Gargoyle. So remember here, for a 6 mana, for a 4/6. 4/6, that's basically 5 mana taunt. So you're taking an understated body, and you have an effect. The effect kind of makes up for it, but overall, it's like too random. This might perform better than what I'm rating it as. I just think that you need more out of this. You need like a 5/6 for this to be pickable to me. And 4/6 at that point in the game, it's just a 1-star card. And then finally, Scourge Rager. Scourge Rager, Reborn Battle Cry, die. Okay, so yeah, they brought back the Rager because the Rager, I'm surprised they don't have Magma Rager here for the joke. So, better than Magma Rager. Number 1, there are cards that summon random undead for things like Priest, where this will actually be good. Number 2, remember that you have the if an undead minion died on your after your turn. So you can actually take this if you have a few of those cards, and you can hold it as a combo card. You play the Scourge Rager, and you always have it to activate those undead things. So there are legitimately edge cases where this is not bad. Still 1-star card. It's still a very low 1-star card, but it's out of the 0-star card because there are the edge cases for this. Okay, that's it for the comments. So going on, just finishing off the rest of the neutrals because set will be quicker here. All right, rares. So let's take a look at the rares. First one here, Translocation Instructor. 5 mana 4/4, choose an enemy minion, swap it with a random one in their deck. So now there's RNG involved in this. That is obvious. So the question is, so you can't play this on curve. So that's why it's not like anywhere close to like a Vilespine. But if you're playing this on a 7-drop or an 8-drop, and you swap a 3-drop, Yeah, that's a 5 mana 4/4, and you're getting rid of like 4 mana's worth of value, and that's really really good. If they play like a giant taunt that you need silenced and you need it removed, you swap this. That's really good. You hold this for this is like a card you hold. It's a hard removal. It's not soft removal. Soft removal, yeah. Soft removal because something's still on the board, but it's on average going to benefit you to take this card. So rare. This is a high 4-star card for me. That's it. There's enough cases like in the mid game where you don't want to use it. There are cases where RNG screws you on this, but overall just like a really good card as a neutral hard removal. Next one I have under this is Corner. Corner, I touched on it here. Battle Cry, freeze an enemy minion. Mana Thirst, silence it first. You're probably not going to want to silence things until like you get past turn 6 anyways. So otherwise, like we've seen this with what's the Ice Guild. Ice Guild, 2 mana Tutu that freezes in Shaman. This is obviously much better than that. So this is it's 4-star card, but a low 4-star card. Next one here, Infectious Ghoul. Death Rattle, give a random friendly minion Death Rattle, summon an Infectious Ghoul. So, we've seen this card before. We've seen this effect before in a legendary Grabo. Let's pull him up. Grabo is significantly better because of the taunt effect on it. So the taunt effect basically means that like whatever minion dies, you have to kill that off, which means you can't like clear the rest of the board to justify this. With the Ghoul, that's a lot easier. You can clear the rest of the board, and that it's only got 5/4 here means it's a lot easier to clear. Now, obviously, you have a giant board. You play the Infectious Ghoul, your opponent gets upset. But again, but we've already seen you have Corner for silence. You have Translocation Instructor for silence. You have a lot of like silence. You have other silence effects. You have other like soft removal, transform effects. So there is a decent enough chance that this does not get its value. Still, overall, 4-star card. Just like it will win you games, and sometimes it just does nothing. All right. Next card here is Tenacious Sandlane. Tenacious Sandlane. So 5/4 lifesteal. Whenever this attacks, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. So no taunt. So 4/6 lifesteal and deal 2 extra damage to the enemy hero. That's really good. Lifesteal is good. It's a good card. I would take this over a Pit Fighter. So for me, this is a solid 3-star card. Next one here, Flesh Behemoth. 9 mana, 4/8 taunt, Death Rattle, draw another undead and summon a copy of it. This is really deck dependent. So here's the problem. The 4/8 taunt is 6 mana. You're paying that for 9 mana. That is a lot that you want out of a 9 mana card, because you want a lot more than 6 mana. So draw an undead. Again, if you take a look at the undead, most of the undead are pretty weak cards. So if you're paying 9 mana to Death Rattle, summon like a random 3-drop, and then draw said 3-drop, that's still not good. That's still not worth 9 mana. So for 9 mana, you need to have more. Now, there are cases where you can target this, or you can have big undead, and then you have a few big undead things, and then this is kind of like a trigger. So there are cases like that. But overall, I just don't think that for the limited number of big cards you can have in your deck, I do not think this does enough. So I think it's like a high 2-star card. You'll take it if you have to, but no. And then finally, Banshee. Give a random friendly undead +2/+1. And my question is, why is this so rare? Because this is like a generic card filler effect. This is not it. This is not it. You pick it if you have undead. You skip it if you don't. It's a low 2-star card. Like, it's average. It's 2-1. All right. Going into epics. See, wrong one here. Hawkstrider Rancher. 3 mana 2/1. 3 mana 2/5. After you play a minion, give it +1/+1 and Death Rattle. Summon a 1/1 Hawkstrider. Obviously, that is insane. That is a really, really, really powerful effect. Key thing is play. So, a 3 mana 2/5, that's average. That's like about a 2-drop level power level. So, you need to have this live. You need to play a minion, and that minion gets +1/+1 and a Death Rattle. I mean, that's good. If you play this in the mid to late game, obviously that's a lot better. This is really good, but again, it's kind of a little bit too combo oriented. But like my problem is this. We have had cards like this before. We've had cards like Historian Buff where you have a similar effect and it never worked to the level that I think people think that a card like this should work. So I can't put it in. I can't put it as 5-star. It's right on the edge of a 4-star card or a 5-star card. I just can't take that jump up to 5-star on this. Because they're just cards, the 5-star cards, you just do more. Next one, Crystalline Broker. I brought this one here. So, Mana Thirst, summon a random 3-cost minion, or summon an 8-cost minion instead. So, you hold this. So, this is a card you have to hold. And that's pretty much what holds it out. So, it's good. It's okay on turn 5 to play this. Like, it's good. You really, really, really want to hold this for turn 10. But then again, that's the problem. Like, at turn 10, when you play this, how many games is it going to actually win for you? So I can't go that high on it. I'm just saying it's a 3-star card. It's like a mid-tier 3-star card just because of how long you have to wait on it. Like, if you compare it, like, I'll go back up here. You take this, like, incredibly powerful card on curve. Summon, where are you? Like, just like here. Alright, so incredibly powerful, here. Draw a spell. Incredibly powerful card on curve. Hard removal, right in here. AoE. Overstated card that does damage to you. Like, as I said, you put those cards kind of in a group, and they're going to be roughly the same for me. Alright, Enchanter. Three mana, 3/3. Enemy minions deal double damage during your turn. So, we've had this effect before in Moarg Enforcer. So, we know from Moarg Enforcer, the card that was supposed to be one of the best cards ever printed, that this is not really that great of an effect. Like, it's good, trust me, but it's basically it's kind of like a better spell damage. That's the best way to put it. It's better spell damage. Now, that's good. I mean, I'm not saying it's not bad. It's a 3-star. It gets a decent amount of value from a 3/3. But I'm just saying that the effect, it's a lot weaker than it seems at first. Okay. Next card here is we've got Sanctum Spellbender. 4 mana 3/6. It's a 4 mana 3/6. Basically, it's useful for like a soft protection of certain things. It's useful for blocking some Paladin spells. Like, okay, Fringe Cases. I can't say it's anything more than a 3-star card. Not much needs to be said there. And then finally, Plague Spreader. So, 4 mana 4/4, turn a random minion in your opponent's hand into a Plague Spreader. So, the idea, what eventually happens, is that both decks just become who's playing 4/4s. Like, I don't know what to think of it. Like, you can use it to like maybe transform your opponent's card, like their big cards into something if you know they have something big, and then they do the same thing to you and you go back and forth. So it's kind of like I don't see like the benefit of this. Your opponent can probably do things to play around it. I just don't see it working. I think 2 stars. All right. Finally here. Going on to the legendaries. Astalor Bloodswarm. So, Tamina 2/2, mana first, deal 2 damage. To get a 5 mana 5/5, mana thirst 7, gain 5 armor. To get a 8 mana 8/8 that does 8 damage split between everything, which does 16 total. So, this card, like, this is the card that Awukta thinks Pyros is. So, this is the card Awukta thinks Pyros is. This is going to be the new Arena Boogeyman for the Arena Boogeyman. This is a 7-star card. I don't think I need to go into why. It's just like you get a ton of value out of one card and the payoff just wins you the game on the spot. And again, you can do the 2 mana and the 5 mana on one turn to set up the 8 mana version. Okay. Next card here, Invincible. Reborn Battle Cry Death Rattle, give a random friendly undead 5/5 and taunt. So, what I want for this to happen is I want this to be like show up so little in Arena that people question whether or not this card exists. So I was going to say they're making a joke, but then they're making a joke about invisible, not invincible. So, anyways, where do I have this card? I have this card as a 5-star card. The reason being is that if this goes off, it just wins you the game. And you have cheap undead for this to go off on. So basically, if you have any undead on the board, then you get like 15 stats and taunt, because this will be hidden behind the taunt, and your opponent probably will not be able to kill off that undead. So I think this is a 5-star card. I think it's an incredibly powerful card. You do need the right deck for it, but the payoff is so strong that it's worth it. Next card here, the Sunwell. So 9 mana, fill your cards with random hands, cost 1 for each card in your hand. Actually, just think about this. If you play it with 7 cards in your hand, it's 3 mana, draw 3. That's better than an Arcane Intellect. You play this with 5 mana in your hand. 5 cards in your hand, that's 5 mana, draw 5. That's a really, really, really powerful effect. You play this with 8 mana with like 2 cards in your hand. That's 8 mana, draw 8. So, yeah, does it necessarily do anything if you don't have cards in your hand? No, but would you rather have this in your hand, or would you rather have a random 3-drop at that point? So, overall, I think it's a 4-star card. I think, like, there's obviously the issue of you're not going to be able to use the spells, but when you do play it, you're going to get enough stuff that you'll probably be able to come back in one way or another. All right. Next one, Lormar Theron. Oops, wrong one, not that one. So, Luthumar Theron. Double the stats of all minions in your deck. Not hand, which is a key thing. So, 7 mana, 7/7, that's a War Golem, that sucks. If you can last like the 3 or 4 turns after this, then you win the game. So it's one of those cards where you need to be at enough of an edge that you can play this and take the tempo loss so that you can kind of guarantee the victory later on. So overall, where is that? That it's too slow, but it's definitely still pickable. It's on like the low end of a 3-star card. And then finally, Bone Lord Frost Whisper. 6 mana, 6/6. For the rest of the game, your first card each turn costs 0. You die in 3 turns. 0-star card. Basically, you kill. This is a lose condition. You're not going to have the big cards necessary to do this. Like in Arena, you won't have the combo cards. You won't have like the insta-win cards. So 0 stars. Just don't pick it. All right. And that is all the neutrals. So I have already done the Death Knights, so when we come back, when you watch again, it will be with the Demon Hunter class, where I will go just by, for the rest of the class cards, I'll just go by common, rare, then epic, then legendary. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next video.